Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another edition of the blog, Dude's Blog. This will reflect the story of September 9th, which would have been yesterday, which would have been an hour or so ago. That being the end of the day, but not for the events that I'm going to talk about, which were around 4 p.m. Yeah, specifically, I was sitting in the Wendy's eating my couple of 99-cent items in the nice air-conditioned interior and looking out the window onto Colonial Avenue. Yes, the Wendy's there at the corner of Colonial and Orange Blossom Trail. Yes, and what did I see? None other than a person asking for money. Yes, it was a sight to behold, and I did observe it and ponder upon it as I watched it happen. Yes, this man, about probably in his early 30s to 40-something, was had a backpack on, a tank top, no sunglasses, no hat, and he would take this folded piece of cardboard and open it up like an accordion so that it would expose the message, which was none other than even just 1 penny is a blessing. And the letters, the words started out quite in large font at the top and ended up in quite a smaller font at the bottom. So I would start up at the intersection, walking towards the stopped cars at the red light. At the intersection, begin and walk slowly down the sidewalk and towards the end of the line of cars that were, with their brakes on, waiting for the light to turn green. And the cars, usually each time somebody would, at least one or two people would give some money. And then he would get maybe, 100 yards or maybe 50 yards down or less, and then begin the walk back, especially as the light basically turned green, and realizing that it's time to get the hell out of there. And he would take his hands and rub all the sweat off of his hair, which was his head. It was very hot and humid out, and I felt sorry, and I imagined to myself, would that be an easy thing to do? And the more I watched, the more unpleasant feelings I got. And so then he would go back to the intersection, take a few drags off a cigarette, maybe every other time or so, and wait for the light to turn red again and begin the whole sequence over. As he would walk back to the intersection to wait for it to turn red again, he would tuck his little accordion sign back up into a flat and shove it up underneath his book bag that he had on. And I thought about how easy this would be to do, and what would it take for a person to do such a thing. How would they need to lose family members or friends or jobs, house, cars, become homeless to get to that point where they're doing that in the traffic? And no doubt there are many false beggars out there. I remember seeing a guy in a wheelchair or some kind of, it was a wheelchair, at a corner of Walmart on Colonial, on the east side of Colonial, and he was stopped at the stop sign and with the handouts, rolling his wheelchair. And when the light changed such that the cars began to move, then I saw him stand up and push the wheelchair back to some position or something. It was like, okay, the wheelchair is only there to act as a prop to make people feel sorry. And but anyway, I imagine that I've been unemployed for 4 months now, basically almost, and this could be me. And it could be me, and who knows? It could actually be me. It could be you. It's a really awakening thought to ponder, and it definitely does not leave a very calming mood about your persona to think of such things, because that is a total state of desperation. I mean, that's almost like prostituting yourself. And I know there's a lot of scammers out there doing this stuff and making money off of it, and they'll get theirs. The karma will come around, and they'll get their due. But for the people that really need it, that is a super state of desperation. And when cops come around, these beggars tend to pack it up and hike real quick, because I think there's a sense of illegality to it, or crime, somewhat of a crime, loitering, jaywalking, I'm not sure, but yeah, generally probably trying to avoid confrontations, but that was that rant. Also, I witnessed at a gas station where I was getting directions later on that day, yesterday, some I don't know what the crime was, but there was about 4 or 5 large plain white wrappers, they call them, unmarked police cars with the blue and red flashing underneath the windshield or the back, but no other police markings. And then the police, almost like SWAT team, they had black like ski masks on so that only the eyes were exposed, and something you don't see too often is like an undercover unit. Yeah, that's what I would say. So, but about 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6, and pretty interesting to look at from 50, 75, or 175, 80 feet away. I went to the gas station to get directions. Anyway, and then the last item of discussion will be Obominator. I was listening to the radio, the AM radio. One of the financial guys, might have been the guy that says at the end of his little show, do me a favor and hug your kids. He was saying, what's wrong with Obama, saying do good, kids, work hard. He was basically saying lay off of Obama with all the negativity. And I have a few things to say about that. Number one, Obama was in the Senate for only 6 months. And how do you feel about that as a qualification for president? I'd like to find out how many months past presidents have been senators before they ever became president. I was just trying to find out how long he was in the representatives, and I came across his website called BarackObamaSucks.net, and the item of discussion is Barack Obama assaults school children. After listening to Obama talk, most people would feel assaulted. I know I would. Here's Glenn Beck episode just before the speech to school children. I will post the actual speech later this week.
First, before I get to this, I just want to talk to you about one thing. People are yanking their kids out of school for Obama's unprecedented speech addressing pre-K through 6th grade children. The Department of Education gave some suggestions as to what teachers and students could do to prepare, to talk about after the speech. Read books about the president and write letters about what they can do to help the president. Gee, why would anybody want to have their kids skip that day? Next Tuesday, don't miss our full hour on education indoctrination. Another indoctrination that is happening again. And we've got another one we told you about last night. This one began to happen last Thursday, August 6th. There was an invitation from the National Endowment for the Arts. This is your tax dollars going. You remember the cross and the crucifix and jar of urine? It's these people. Now they sent out a memo to a select group of pre-screened artists, and it said, quote, artists, producers, promoters, organizers, leaders, just plain cool people. The email encouraged them to, quote, heed the president's call to action this summer, United We Serve.